You realize this is going to be my 8th podcast that I've done today, if you count all the Average Boy podcasts that I've done.
So save the best for last.
So that's a good way to look at it, but I'm sure Focus on the Family will disagree. But we always say after we finish our podcast, like, oh, we should tell people to listen to my Adventures in Average Boy podcast. But we always forget. So I guess doing 7 of them this morning helped solidify my memory to be able to remember. So if you're a Smiler, also become a adventurer. We don't really have a name for the listeners.
Become average.
Yeah. So my Average Boy character is doing a podcast, and we've already done 42 of them. And ultimately, we're going to do 52. So we'll have one for each week for families to listen to. So check that out. But right now, I get to say one of my favorite things. Welcome to Hook, Line, and Smiley, episode
45.
45. And I saved some news for you, my lovely and talented wife.
What?
We charted. We had a big old chart this week.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Huge chart.
I'm afraid to say this, but tell me about it.
We took a big old 189 in the US of A. And you've never charted in Canada before, have you?
I've never been there, so I've never charted there.
You never charted there? Oh, man.
I've enjoyed their snacks, though.
Guess who's 184 in Canada?
Us.
It is us. So we're 189 in US and 184, which in Canada, which does go with the exchange rate. So I think that's pretty good. And drum roll. Was that your drum roll?
Yeah.
That was a Church of Christ drum roll. Just one little. Guess where we're ranked 24th?
Scandinavia.
It is a place that we're already moving up the charts pretty quickly, but we hit 24 in Nigeria.
Woo!
See, sending all that money to that prince, like you told me that was a bad investment, but we are ranked 24th.
It worked out. I would love to hear from a Nigerian Smiler.
Seriously, we did. I got the charts right before we started this, and Nigeria popped up, and we were 24th in comedy interviews.
That's amazing.
So I don't know how many they have. Yeah, I'm guessing they have 25, maybe. Hopefully we beat at least one person.
They probably have 23. We just snuck in there somehow.
Yeah, they just like glommed us on like, oh, they need this. Anyway, yeah, episode 45, we're cranking them out.
I would like to give you a shout out for cleaning up your office prior to this episode so that everyone on our podcast listeners can see how tidy you are.
Yeah, we are still doing video because we cannot get our microphones to work, and we also can't afford to buy new equipment yet, but we are working on that. We are trying to save up money to do that. So,
Christmas is around the corner.
That's right, Smilers. I'm registered at Amazon.com. What do I need? I don't even know what XLR microphone.
We probably should upgrade from our last set.
Yeah.
Like you do.
But guess what else this week is?
I don't know.
It's a big time in your family, or has been in the past.
Black Friday.
Well, you cannot quit thinking about shopping. By the way, I don't think the UPS guy stopped here today.
He didn't. I met him out on the corner.
Oh, okay. All right. I knew something was up. I knew we couldn't miss a day. I was like, what's that strange noise? Oh, that's silence. The doorbell's not ringing every 5 minutes.
I opened up my own P.O. box.
Jeez. Anyway, so it's election week, and this podcast will already be out afterwards. So half of our listeners may be in Canada.
That's true.
But we may move up a little bit.
One of us may be in Canada.
Yeah, one of us. No, if one of us is there, both of us are going to be there.
That's true.
But yeah, so 4 years ago, I was on potty break right before. It was the same thing. We were recording, and the election was going to be on Tuesday, and the podcast was going to come out on Thursday. and
Oops, sorry.
Hawkins asked me to make a prediction, and we were in New York, and we went through Pennsylvania and New York, and I was, they make me ride up front in the tour bus,
Mm-hmm.
because of the, it doesn't matter why, but so I have to ride up front, and I noticed all these Trump signs in Pennsylvania and New York, and so when we were talking about it on potty break, I was like, guys, I rarely am this confident, but I'm going to call it for Trump. Like, I think he's going to win. And, they were all like, no, first woman president, Hillary's going to, she's got too much power. She's going to control the vote and all. And I called it. So I'm going to make a prediction for this year as well. I'm going out on a limb. I'm going to say the old white guy is going to win. I mean, we'll see. We won't see. You and I will see in real time right now, but our listeners already know if I got it right. So I don't know. Anything you want to say about the election? It's kind of a hot topic, but.
Well, I do want to bring up the little traffic jam we got into yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So we were on our way home, and we live in a pretty heavy populated area just north of Houston. And so we're used to a little traffic, but we were going down the 3-lane side road, feeder road of the interstate, and the traffic came to a complete halt. And we're like, what's going on? What's going on? We kind of looked, and over to our right was the mall, and evidently they'd had some sort of meeting, Trump rally. I don't know what was going on, but every single car started emptying out, and they had massive amounts of flags and banners. And I was like, oh, that's cool the first 10 minutes. And then about 20 minutes in, I was like, okay, they could let one lane go. But it was kind of cool that many people would, put a flag on their car and drive around Houston. And then when I went last night to pick up the boys across town, there was a truck parked in the restaurant that we stopped to grab dinner in, and he had flags all over it. And I saw the couple inside. They had shirts and hats on. And I was like, hey, y'all didn't happen to be in North Houston today, did you? And she said, no, but there was a meetup where we all had flags and everything. And we drove the entire 610 loop, which is the smallest loop that goes around Houston, but it's a big loop that goes around the city of Houston. And she said it took 2 hours and it was 7 miles long.
Good night.
Of cars.
Yeah, these were, everybody in the whole mall parking lot was completely full, and it was all like huge trucks and Jeeps and, everything. And we, like you said, we sat there for about 12, 15 minutes because they totally shut down the feeder road so everybody could filter out. And I was looking at all these huge guys that, like, they were all Trump fans. Like, every flag said Trump, everything. And I thought, if he doesn't win, I hope they tell all 500 of these people that Trump did win, because they look like they could do some damage, because they looked real dedicated.
I noticed it was a kind of a mixed crowd. It was surprising. Old and young. I didn't see.
Yeah. Age-wise, I was just talking about the vehicles. I guess we saw like some classic convertibles and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was like big. It was Texas trucks and Jeeps.
Yeah, it was definitely don't mess with Texas for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of.
We know that Texas is a red state, so
yeah,
he's got it here. He doesn't even campaign here.
When we were talking to Coulter about voting, I was like, because he it's okay to say this, like but Coulter is a Trump fan. Like, Coulter from 4 years ago, he actually looked at all the issues and looked at everything. And I'm not saying this is how Sarah and I vote. I'm just saying my son Coulter is a Trump fan. He actually bought with his own money the "Make America Great Again" hat and wore that forever. And so he is definitely a Trump fan. And when we were talking to him about voting, he said, right before he left, he said, all right, going to go vote for Biden. And I laughed because I knew, and he goes, I really think I might, because I think I'd be the only one in Texas. So
I kind of be one of the few in our county. Our county is very conservative.
Yeah. I don't think he did, but it was. I thought I liked this thinking. Yeah, we'll never know. But yeah, well, was that your woo moment? Getting stuck on the frontage road?
Woo moment.
Huh?
No, that was not my woo moment.
Getting stuck 15 minutes on the frontage road with me?
No.
Pretty good woo moment.
Sorry. What's your woo moment?
My woo moment is every single week when I get to say thank you to Mac Powell and the Family Reunion for our intro song. We almost forgot, babe.
We did.
It's this video thing. I can't take my eyes off you. So
Aww.
it's distracting. But no, what's your woo moment?
Well, we had a really great weekend. We got some cleaning done. That's annoying. We got some cleaning done around the house. You drinking into the video. That's super unprofessional.
I've done 8 podcasts today. I got to stay hydrated.
Right. Could you just drink a little off camera?
Sure.
Anywho.
How's that?
We did a little bit of exploring together on Saturday. It was one of our few and far between kid-free weekends, and where you're not working. And now I'm not working, we weren't really doing anything. So we accomplished a few little things around the house, and then we went exploring kind of up into the hill woods area of where we live and found a fun little spot, listened to some live music, it was kind of like a craft fair, kind of just,
yeah.
I guess just self-employed little, businesses. And we just had a great time. It was awesome. So that was definitely, the weather was perfect here. This is why people live in Texas for like the 6 weeks we're experiencing right now. The rest of it is either cold and miserably wet or super hot, you're frying. But for right now, October, November are awesome.
Yeah.
And then my other woo moment is getting to move into a new school. So I'm still this teacher at the same school, but we are moving locations to a new building, a new church, and it's going to be an adjustment, but I'm going to be excited about it. Super positive. So
nice.
Yeah. What about you?
My overall, my big woo is Halloween. Like, we had such a great time. We went and listened to that lady put on the show, like she just sang and did all these cover songs. And I entered a costume contest, even though I didn't have a costume.
And you won.
And ended up winning, which is so great. So
only Bob Smiley.
Yeah, I talked my way into it. I got a big laugh.
You did.
So it was basically, the guy got up and he was like, and I guess there were like 4 or 5 people dressed in costume, and you were like, just go up there. And I was like, I don't have a costume. And you were like, just go up. And I had a smiley face mask on, like a COVID mask. And so I went up there and he was like, the winner gets a prize. And he was going down and like, what do you? And, people were like, I'm Jack Sparrow, or I'm a gypsy, or I'm, and he got to me and I said, I am dressed as a guy who wants to win a prize. And the place went crazy. And so I did. I won the prize. So awesome. It was fun, but it's just fun hanging out with you. My little woo, my wee woo, if you so will indulge me. My wee woo was when we were up in Conroe and we were waiting outside of this store, and this mom walked up with her kid, and the kid leaned over to smell these flowers. And he's just this little kid. He's like maybe 9 or 10. And he leans over and he smells the flowers, which is super sweet.
It is.
If you didn't know he had a mask on. But he's leaning over with a full mask on going, and all he can smell is his mask. But just that childlike, when Jesus says, let them come to me like children, or let the little children come to me, like you want that innocence.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, that cheered me up so much. I thought it was so funny. And just that, because it was very, very colorful flowers and all this kind of stuff. And the kid just couldn't contain himself and he had to lean down. And you and I even talked about this. How many times have we went to, take a sip of our drink and the mask off? I yawned the other day and covered my mouth, even though I had a mask on. I was yawning.
I've put lip gloss and lipstick on to go somewhere and then put my mask on. Like, oh, well. So the inside has really good lips. But
you haven't put it over, you haven't
No, I should just buy a mask with the lips on, and then I'm good.
Yeah, that'd be great. But that was kind of my wee woo. Was I just love how that kid just was like, saw flowers, is like, I got to smell these.
It was cute.
Yeah, it was very innocent and funny. So that was kind of that. And just doing the Average Boy podcast. I've started working on book 3. There's a lot of stuff going on right now.
It's great.
Got a couple of shows this month, so nothing big. We're I'm still Uber Eats driving, but I'm taking a few days off a week to
Yeah.
work on the book and stuff like that. I wonder if I can't be the only person writing a book and Uber Eats driving right now. Like
With an actual contract, you probably are.
yeah, maybe that's
There's
true.
probably a lot of people writing these days.
Yeah. What about poo moments?
Poo moment. I did not rehearse this, but I think eating healthy, it's a poo moment, literally and figuratively.
That is
I'm,
true.
I'm sure we've been discussing it, and I've been discussing it. I've needed to get more hardcore with it. So starting this week, I'm really buckling down. So I'm realizing how emotionally attached I am to food, and it's not pretty. So I'm not like really dieting. I'm just trying to like eat really healthy and eat for a certain amount of time a day. And it felt good, actually. It kind of coincides with my science lesson that I'm teaching with to the kids, like over the digestive system and then health and stuff. So it's like it's really convicting to be the teacher, be like omega-3s and saturated fats, and then go and stop at Chick-fil-A on the way home. So it was convicting.
You're munching on a Butterfinger from Halloween and going,
Yeah.
no, we really should stay away from sugar.
I picked the wrong time to give up sugar. I will tell you that. I'm staring at about a 4-pound bag of candy on the dresser across from me, and I'm not going to touch it. So
yeah, don't, because it's mine.
right.
I weigh that.
What?
I weigh that every night. So
see if I took pieces.
Yeah. Why do you think I brought the scale back out? It wasn't a hint to you. I want to keep my Halloween candy.
That's so bad. I think Jason would disagree.
That's actually a mid-woo. Is a couple of podcasts ago, we talked about how Halloween we ended up hanging out at these neighbors' house. They had a little fire pit, and everybody else had kind of gone in, and we ended up going out. Well, we were late getting back here, so we got back, threw on the porch light. I got together some, a bowl of candy, gave out some, mostly
Where did that bowl
Play-Doh.
of candy go?
Anyway, then after everybody kind of left, we just walked out of out of our house, and we were like, what do you, and we looked, and right over across the street and down a little bit was the same couple. We haven't talked to them since last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we waved to each other, but they had a little fire pit going out there, and we went and sat and just had a blast again.
It was great.
So I can't wait to see them next year.
Well, they're moving, remember?
Well, they said that last year, but she did say that they're getting serious. They're getting more serious.
Getting closer. Yeah, COVID kind of pushed their time frame back.
But I like that we have that little tradition going there.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so your poo moment is like you were going over all the things that you were going to, the way you were going to eat, the times you were going to eat, like all the types of food. And then way off it, because we're both doing it, and way off in the distance, I heard this, no. And I was like, what is it? And that was our toilet. So our toilet is not looking forward to this new Whole30 keto protein power thing we're going to get.
It'll be great.
Yeah. But no, I'm proud of you, because it's a hard time to do it. But between Halloween,
always a hard time. And I figured out that it's the preparation. So if I can plan ahead and have everything, you're eating a lot more fresh and whole foods and stuff. So you have to grocery shop a little more often, which you love to do anyway.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
And I think, even though it's like the holidays are all like mashed together and stuff, I do think we have a window. So I think that's a good time of being like, okay, because you know how they're always like, Friday was bad, but Sunday's coming whenever they talk about Easter. And I always feel like that. I'm like, okay, the diet's here, but Thanksgiving's coming.
Yeah, I really am going to try to stick with it, and then reward myself with Thanksgiving Day, and then stick with it and reward myself with, Christmas. So we'll see how it goes. Right. Can I talk about another poo moment?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, we like to be real with our audience. We like to be, it's not all sunshine and roses all the time. So I've had a really tough week emotionally. There's just some things going on with people close to me that I love, and some loss with friends, and losing people that they love. And so it's just been a really heavy week emotionally. So it's kind of a poo moment. You've gotten so good at kind of figuring out how to talk and space and love on and everything, but life's just yucky, and it just makes me, like, when it gets real yuck, it just makes me long for heaven, honestly. Not in a detrimental to my own life way, but just like ready for wholeness to take place, and no more pain, no more tears, no more sadness. So yeah, I'm ready for some of that relief. And in the meantime, just trying to like keep perspective and figure out how to love on people, and not just focus on myself and my own problems.
I wondered if you were going to bring that up. In fact, for my poo moments and my little notes here, I actually have loss, divorce, and then yuck. Like, I have all three of those written down and then question mark, because I was like, I didn't know if you wanted to get into it. But yeah, some of our friends and some close people to us, are going through a lot of, struggles, and some people are making bad decisions, and it's just hard to, know when to push in and when to, just pray for people and how to love on people the right way. And yeah, it's been a tough week, in regards to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what helps me get through all that?
What?
How good your hair looks. My goodness, girl.
Woo!
What have you been doing to your hair?
Not washing it and putting it in a cap.
No. This is where we do our commercial for Monet products.
It actually looks fairly good. I just get used to not fixing it for podcasting, and then you spring on me that our podcast equipment is still not working, and so I got a video. So this is what you get: no makeup and a hat and my look.
Oh yeah.
You see my Smiley earrings? Those are my podcast earrings. Well, let me tell you, when my hair is normally fixed and beautiful, for the past 3 years, I have fallen in love with these Monet products. Monet is a non-toxic, vegan, naturally based anti-aging hair care line. And best of all, it's made in the USA. It is scientifically proven to penetrate all 3 layers of the hair shaft and heal your hair and scalp from the inside out. The shampoos have a hair regrowth ingredient.
What? Are you pointing to the Smilers?
And it's literally vitamins and nutrients for your hair. I'm just saying, if anybody wanted to grow some hair.
You better have been pointing at the Smilers.
Monet is the #1 luxury hair care line in the world. They also have recently launched in the UK. They meet all European standards for cosmetic ingredients. So whether your hair is thick or thin, oily or dry, frizzy, man, woman, or child, they have a product for you. It is not a one-size-fits-all product. So message us at hooklineandsmiley@gmail.com if you want your custom product recommendation.
So I walked up to him and I was like, I know you. And it turned out to be Brad Pitt. I was like, no way, that is crazy. And so we ended up sitting and talking about, what I just shared just a second ago.
Okay.
I threw that in because I know some people probably skip past the commercial. And I thought if they stopped right then they might go, oh, wait a minute, what did I miss? And then they go back and they ended up, listening to the commercial. But seriously, guys, it's great. It's great products, and it does help support our podcast. But if you don't want good hair, maybe you're a hermit, or, maybe the election didn't go your way, and so you plan to live in your mom's basement for the rest of your life, and so you don't care what you look like, but you still want to support the podcast, you guys can always send in donations. My PayPal is bob@bobsmiley.com, and my Venmo is bob-smiley-3. So,
and I have to give a shout out to April Linder at this point, because she sent a donation to my PayPal last week, and it was really, really fun. It's fun to get those things. I actually spent it on you this weekend, so there you go.
Aw.
It is fun.
I know you did. That was super sweet. You got me a water bill.
I did.
That was so sweet, baby.
I did get you something to drink, so we'll just call it even.
All right, quick iffy moment. Go ahead, my perfectly prepared partner.
You said you had the iffy moment.
If somebody gives you food but you don't really like it, how do you respond?
Gives you food? Like
Yeah,
at a
somebody
party?
offers you food.
When would I need some more context?
Okay, say you're in a third world country and you're going into a hut and they offer you their last piece of rodent tail, and
Oh,
it's a
you
delicacy.
definitely eat it. In the third world country, 100%.
100% you
Yeah.
eat it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. You're student teaching in, I'll just make up a city, Abilene, Texas. And you're student teaching second graders, and they think it's like sweet to come up and offer you part of their lunch because maybe you don't ever pack a lunch. And so the kids come up and offer you, but it's like mashed warm banana, like a piece of banana they've ripped off with their hands and it's squeezing through their fingers, and they come up and they offer it to you. And in poor planning, recess was before lunch. So their hands are dirty, they're sweaty. It's Texas, so it's 108 because it's December.
This is getting grosser and grosser.
There's a hair on it. You're not sure if that's a worm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you eat it because the kids are offering this to you as a nice thing, or?
No. I don't even touch it. I don't even get close to the kid. I don't even touch the kid. I don't even look him directly in the eye.
Aren't you a teacher?
Oh, yes. And my students know very well that one of the beauties of all this COVID stuff is that we have a room full of sanitizer, hand soap, towels, disinfectant spray, diffusers. I'm all about it. I don't like germy kids. Mm-mm.
I didn't even think about that, but I bet germaphobes are loving this.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm not a germaphobe. I just don't like sticky kids or counters or doorknobs or windows or
husbands.
no, you're good sticky.
You do like my musk. I'll come in from like the gym and you'll be like, come here, give me a whiff. And I'm like,
I do hug you. You smell like a man.
yeah.
I
Well,
like
you've never smelled that before, so I get it. So all right, well, we had fans send in questions this week and we actually got some good ones. So do you want to tackle those?
I would like to, but first I would like to talk about real briefly our off the hook Christmas party.
Oh, you want to do that now?
I want to preview it and then I want to add some details at the end.
Okay. Well, tell us about our holiday Christmas party.
Well, as you know, we have quite a few loyal Smilers, loyal followers and listeners and commenters and raters and emailers and Instagrammers that listen to every single episode. What?
We have raters?
Raters.
Oh, okay.
Like podcast raters, like 5 stars. Okay.
Yeah, people have rated. I got you.
Okay. So we wanted to get everybody together. We wanted to send out an invitation and get everybody that loves the podcast together.
Let's start with this though. I've always wanted to go to a holiday Christmas office party.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's kept me from doing that is I've never had a job.
Right.
So I've never had an office Christmas party to go to.
Right.
So you and I was kind of joking around that, what are we going to do for our holiday office party? Because it's just you and me. And that's when you came up with the great idea to invite our Smilers. And so go ahead, carry on.
So by invitation only, we are having the very first annual Off the Hook Christmas party. And our Smilers are actually going to have a chance to attend. It's going to be on December 1st, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. And we will give more information about how you can join us.
And it's 7 p.m. Central Time.
Central Standard Time,
but
yes.
If you miss that, you can catch us at 8 Eastern Time or 6 Mountain Time. You have 3 different ways that you can catch us.
Or 5 Pacific Time.
Well, we haven't talked about that. That's 4 hours.
So we'll give you more details at the very end of this podcast about how you can join us. We'll reiterate the details because that was obviously not as succinct as we could have made it. But we're super excited about it. So listen to the podcast and then we'll give you the scoop on how you can attend our Christmas party.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. We're going to hang out. You guys can ask us questions. We're actually going to record. We're going to have make it. We don't know how it's going to go, so we're not guaranteeing it's all going to make it on the podcast. I can, from past experience, guarantee at least 20% of stuff that Sarah's going to say is going to get cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Just the law of averages.
Right. Let's keep their standard low.
Yeah. But here's your chance to actually see how we actually record. So, all right, let's do questions.
Let's do it.
All right, Ron Stone. I'm going to do the serious ones first.
Okay.
Ron Stone said, if our knees bent the other way, what would a chair look like?
That's a serious one?
Yeah, the rest are really silly, kind of loosey-goosey.
Okay.
I thought we would.
So what do you mean by bent the other way?
Means if our knees, you know how our knees, like when you sit on a chair and our knees look, oh, look, I can still do the robot.
Look at that.
Bring back the 80s, baby. I am ready.
Oh, gosh. Oh, goodness. You're going to pull something. You're going to pull something, and I'm going to have to pay for the chiropractor. Just sit still.
I'm going to pull your phone number, baby.
No, just sit
Give me
still.
those digits.
So your knees bending the other way.
Yeah. So like you'd be really good at hurdles because you wouldn't have to bend your legs would just kick straight up from your knee. Your knee would kick straight up.
But then you would just have to lay down all the time.
No, I think you would sit. I think the chairs would look exactly the same, but you would sit and then you would pull your feet up because they would bend the opposite way. And I think you just lay them on your shoulders.
No, I think every chair would have to have an ottoman and you would just have your feet out straight.
No, because if they bent the other way, you could actually set them on your shoulders. In airplanes, you wouldn't need a neck pillow. You could sleep on your foot.
But you wouldn't be able to walk.
Well, no, you would like right before they start their descent, you would put your legs back down so the blood could roll back down.
I mean, in general, you wouldn't be able to walk.
You could walk anywhere, not just in general. Like you.
I don't like that question.
All right. Chris Rossetti, good friend of ours from San Francisco.
Who?
Said, what? Chris Rossetti. You know Chris.
Just kidding.
Okay. He's probably like, what? Anyway, Chris Rossetti said, what's one thing your spouse does? Chris Rossetti. He making the question for us. He asked, what's the one thing your spouse does that they think so funny, but it's just annoying you?
Oh, how much time do we have?
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed episode 45 of Hook, Line, and Smiley.
And one thing your spouse does that they think is so funny, but you find annoying?
Yeah.
Where do I start? Seriously. Honestly, I fake a lot of annoyance with you, and I love it. So you're the goofy one, and you keep me smiling, and you bring a lot of levity to the situation. So, do you think that leaving fingerprints all over the refrigerator is funny?
No.
Okay.
Oh, believe me, that has brought.
I'm trying to think of what I find annoying.
That has not brought any joy into my life. I have to listen to the monologue every.
I have never but for serious, I have lived in a house all my life, someone's house, and I have never experienced a grimy, caked on oil, food, liquid refrigerator door. I've just never experienced that before. So it's just new territory. So I got some spray today though to protect the fridge. Good. I'm gonna put it right by the fridge. What would you say something funny that you do that you think annoys me? It's hard to that I do. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, help me find an answer. Oh, I don't know. I really like being funny in the morning. I can't say out loud. I like. Oh, I know what you're thinking of.
That's an art form. Not many people can do that.
Right.
I like to be
Especially not twice in a row.
yeah. I like to be really funny and loud in the morning, and I think it's funny to be kind of like a morning radio DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a traffic report from like the bedroom to the kitchen, and
Mm-hmm.
I like to be up and going, and that annoys you. Like I think that.
Well, I just ease into the day. I feel like you've gotten a lot better with that, like helping me ease into the day. And then
Well,
I'm
the lock on the door, I think helps. That's definitely helped a little bit, and the throwing of the spoons have helped. So
No.
you're subtle with your hints, but you're accurate.
I just feel like I don't know. I don't feel like that there's a good answer to this. Because
Yeah,
I think like the things that like truly annoy me, you're not trying to be funny, like you're just being annoying.
yeah.
And I think most of what's funny to you is really funny.
Yeah.
Now, whether I give you the laugh or not is another story, but you're a really funny guy. So,
Mm.
what would
Uh,
you say?
to the what's one thing your spouse does that they think is funny that just annoys you?
Yeah.
To Chris Rossetti, I would say nothing, but nice try. Randy Lick said, "What's the one thing you can't stand about each other?" And then he said, "Only one thing." I guess we're just getting questions from divorce lawyers that are.
Yeah. What is the deal here?
Okay. What's the one thing you can't stand about each other? I would say, and honestly, this I think you know it, but you're so perfect, it puts pressure on me to be perfect. And so, like I find me wanting to be more perfect because of how perfect you are. So
You're digging. You're digging.
that or the way you fold shirts. Either one of those.
Gosh, one thing I can't stand about you, I don't probably just the refrigerator thing.
No.
Your hand. Oh, just remembered. I just remembered.
Excited.
You eat with your hands. You eat everything with your
sense.
hands, and you can't leave anything on a plate. You're mopping up sauces. It doesn't matter if we're at a 5-star restaurant, which we don't go to often, but if somebody else invites us, I'm not gonna hurt their feelings. But it doesn't matter. Like you just eat with your hands, everything. So you'll get to the end of the meal, and your mouth is messy, and your hands are gross, and your napkin was obliterated a long time ago. Like,
yeah, but okay.
I can't stand that. Like, that would be one thing I can't stand.
I am getting better. You have to admit, like, so tonight I started off, I ate half the meal with my hands, and the second half I used a spoon. And it honestly was the best chicken and dumplings I've ever had, but I remembered to start using a spoon. So you've got to admit I'm getting better.
That's because it was too hot and
Yeah.
You couldn't touch it. You scalded your fingers.
Yeah. Lesson learned.
That's
what else we got? I don't like the way you fold shirts to where they could fit on the windowsill, like a tiny little windowsill.
Oh yeah, I like folding shirts like that because you fit more in the drawer.
She folds them where you can just see like a little sliver, like a tiny little.
The design is on top.
But you can't see. It's just a little. I don't know how thin.
But you turn them upside down in your drawer and you just line them up and you can see exactly what shirt it is.
Way too thin. I don't know how to describe how thin it is, but it's super thin.
It's not thin.
It's
nope.
Dare I say?
It's not.
Wafer thin. It is. I don't like the way you fold shirts because they just.
Shall I turn my computer around and show them your T-shirt cabinet?
Okay, and Randy
if you would fold your T-shirts like that, you would have them all organized and in half the drawer space.
So Randy Nations, who
I won't fold any more shirts though. Okay, go ahead.
See, Randy Lick, you're gonna have to fold my shirts now. That was a really bad question. Randy Nations, who I don't know if you know this, but he goes to bobsmiley.com all the time.
He does.
Randy Nation says, which type is best for cooling? A 16 by 20 room with an outside temperature of 92 degrees, ceiling, oscillating, or box? And then he wrote in parentheses, question about fans seem oddly specific for a podcast, but what the heck, I'll help out. He was making a joke because I said we were going to take questions from fans or about fans or, whatever. And so he's making a joke, but ceiling fan, oscillating, or box fan. Randy, I can tell you about all three because we have them going in our room at night. Because my wife, we're going to move next to an airport next time because it's cheaper and you don't mind the noise. You want the noise.
I like it.
If there was a railroad that went through an airport, that's where we would sleep.
We have a railroad.
We do have a railroad. We can't give them too much information. They'll put it together and find out where we live. Come and stalk us. Andrew Darcy Jones. A little greedy with the names there. Oh, she said, when are you doing your debut Australian tour?
I don't think it's she. It's Andrew.
Let's start over. Andrew of the he persuasion, Darcy Jones, says, when are you doing your debut Australian tour, Sarah?
Oh, that would be so great to go to Australia.
Yeah. You know what would be great? Actually, I thought about this. If when COVID is over and I start back up doing shows all the time, if I just emerge and just start doing every show with an Australian accent. Because remember how Madonna did that, where all of a sudden she was British? Like she went away for a little bit and then she came back.
Can we go back to Chris Rossetti's question?
What's the one thing you do that makes you fall in love with your spouse? Australia accent, baby.
Yeah. Did Andrew send us another question?
Andrew Darcy did say, what is your favorite sandwich? I'll go first. My favorite sandwich is every sandwich that I've had in the past 2 years. Every 411 sandwiches I've had in the past 2 years. I counted the penny jar.
My favorite sandwich is the what
double
is it?
decker.
No, they serve it with the au jus. It's like roast beef with the cheese melted on top. But it's not roast beef. It's
prosciutto.
Oh no, it's like the meat with the onions and the peppers, and then they melt the cheese on top.
Oh.
Philly cheesesteak. That's my favorite sandwich. Philly cheesesteak.
Palmetto or whatever it was. Pimento.
My favorite sandwich is a Philly cheesesteak. It's the queso one from Texadelphia. That's my favorite.
Well, I'm definitely doing it wrong. Okay. It says also, I know you talked about it on a way earlier episode, but my memory in great. Hush! What if we get robbed right now?
That's our dog protecting our fortress.
What if our dog is really trying to protect us?
Yeah, we're getting broken into. Wait, don't rob us. We're podcasting.
Seriously, how great would that be if a burglar just walked in and just saw it and was like, and then just slowly backed out?
You better not be down there.
You better not be down there. Oh, I can do it in Australia. You better not be down there.
Don't make me call my husband.
Oh, we did get some people that got your callbacks to my show.
Yeah.
Last week. That was pretty cool. Okay, Andrew Darcy Jones. Wow, 3 names and 3 questions. Wants to know where the Hoefethin comes from. I'm interested if you know.
It's a movie quote.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before, but you memorize movies like an encyclopedia of You memorize movies like an encyclopedia. So you can name any quote or scene or whatever for a movie you've seen one time and you know it all. And I could have seen a movie 5 times and I might know a few quotes. So I don't remember.
It's from a Monty Python movie, and it was about, I think the guy's name was Mr. Criswell, and he was this way overweight guy, and this restaurant is just feeding him, and he's just huge, and he's like, I can't eat anything else. And John Cleese is the waiter, and he comes out, and he's like, a mint? And he's like, I can't eat it. And he's like, come on, it's just a tiny mint. And he's like, oh, can't do it at all. And he's like, come on, it's so thin. It's wafer thin. And I don't know why, but Coulter and I just thought that was hilarious. So we started saying just wafer thin anytime we say it. probably won't like this, probably make me cut it, but when I was dating, that's what Coulter would ask me. He was like, is she normal size or is she UEFA thin? So we would say that all the time. And then you picked it up. Like we just would say it around the house, and then you said it one time and it cracked us up. So it's kind of become a thing. We have a lot of like regular sayings.
We do.
I went back and listened to Potty Break a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh, it was so much fun. And they had all these characters that we would do, and all these running gags, monkey hairbrush and stuff like that. And then I was thinking, we have a lot of that. We have 12-year-olds listening. Pet the Fish gets grossed out by our stuff. Like
sandwiches.
Yeah. So we have a lot of good stuff. Yeah, we need to talk about that later after the podcast.
Okay.
So Phronsie, Phronsie, how? These are speed questions. Bilbo or Frodo?
I don't know either one of those.
Bilbo Baggins or Frodo Baggins? I'm going to go Bilbo because I like alliteration. It's from Lord of the Rings.
Okay, I've never seen those.
Legolas or Gimli?
I don't know that either.
Lord of the Rings. Legolas, I'm going to say because I like Pirates of the Caribbean. Red pill or blue pill? You can chime in on this one.
Definitely red pill.
I'm going blue pill. It looks
You
soft.
don't need no blue pill.
Yeah. Okay, edit at
No.
Caroline Reinhardt. Caroline Reinhardt says, what was the scariest part of combining? Ooh, this is a serious question. What was the scariest part of combining our families? So for new listeners,
the bottom of the dishwasher.
Yeah. That was a scary. So for our new listeners, or let's just call them Shonda Pierce fans, because we picked up quite a few. We are a blended family. We've been married for 2 years. You had 2 boys. I had a couple. I don't know how many.
I think 3.
It seems to be more and more, though.
Yeah, they leave, they come back, we lose count.
Yeah. What's the scariest part of combining families? The bottom of the dishwasher, like whenever you first got here? Honestly, how else are you supposed to clean a deer carcass in a nice neighborhood? They won't let you.
The lack of a woman's presence was so abhorrently apparent. Like I can't even use enough words. Like it's been a lot to be the only female and continue to be the only female. I kind of want to adopt a female pet just to have another female in the house. So it's a lot to merge. But the scariest part, gosh, I don't know. I feel like we've dealt with so much. There's not really a scariest part anymore.
Yeah. I think at first it was definitely combining the kids. Because basically when you are a blended family, you're asking your kids to change their lifestyle really for your happiness. Now, hopefully it's really ultimately for their, betterment and their happiness as well. But at first you really are asking your kids to, at least change their life a little bit for your happiness. And so I think, that adjustment of your rules and my rules and trying to blend those together, and my kids being way older and then your kids younger, like we have this huge span of ages, and just what they were used to and what my kids were used to, trying to find consistency in all that and staying on the same page together when you don't agree, with different parenting styles. I would say that was probably I would think that was the hardest part of,
Yeah, but she said scariest. That's what threw me off.
Oh, definitely Coulter hiding in the closet with the Michael Myers mask. Did not see that coming. That was great. But I didn't really concentrate on the scariest. I thought scariest, like, where you're like, when is this going to get better? Is this going to get better? For me, it was that at least. Anything to add?
No.
Okay. Brian
We're recording.
Brian, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Wilhite Will height? What do you in the Bible? No, it was shoe height. Says, what's the most unique venue you've performed in? I've talked about this, but I did a late night kind of anti-prom show where I had to walk around with a speaker and a microphone, and I had to walk from table to table. Have you not heard this?
What's an anti-prom show?
It's like a church group that doesn't want to have a prom, or a private school that doesn't want to have a prom, so that because they don't, because dancing is a sin, and so it is when I do it. So it causes women to stumble. But a lot of people are
You're tripping them.
I am tripping. That's how I get them to dance with me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, everybody do the flail. But I've done so many. Hawkins has done so many, and they're called anti-prom. So they don't want to have a prom, and they don't want kids doing that or going out and drinking and doing all the stuff that they do on prom night. And so they'll have a designated gymnasium or school or church building, or some even rent out actual the Marriott or stuff like that, and they'll put on shows all night long. They usually have casinos because gambling's okay, it's dancing that is wrong. And so I got hired to walk around from table to table and for like an hour and a half do stand up to kids at tables playing poker and stuff. They wanted me to just walk around with a little portable speaker and a microphone and just do jokes and so I did it because daddy needed $500.
Oh my goodness.
That was probably the weirdest one. But she had a question or I don't know why I keep saying she.
I don't know.
Brian.
Because you think all your fans are women.
Aren't they mostly though?
Mm-hmm.
I did a show at a Super Bowl in a gym at a church where they wanted me to do stand up during the commercials because they didn't want the kids watching beer commercials. So every time a commercial came up, and it was like this big 12-foot screen, I had to jump up in between the games, and I would do stand up and they just muted it so you could still see the commercials. So they're watching three frogs in the background and trying to figure it out. And then the youth leader would tell me, he would motion to me when the game was back on, and then I would get back down and just, and it was
like the worst gig.
Oh, it was terrible. But again, needed the money.
Yeah.
Brian, she actually asked a really good question. I'm just going to call everybody she now. Sarah, when you start opening for Bob, what will be your first joke?
Oh, I think it's a joke that I would open for Bob.
You would headline naturally?
Let's just be real. You're going to be on your way out by the time I have any kind of gumption and guts to get on stage. But I'm not going to be telling jokes. Bob's the joke teller. He is the master. I wouldn't even try to. I'm funny when I don't mean to be. That's the honest truth.
That is true.
I tell it like it is, and it just all comes out, and people laugh, and I don't really mean for them to, especially when I'm like giving prayer requests and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Prayer request, though, honestly, your prayer request, that set list you did last Sunday was awesome. It was so good.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Nidra Barnum Grubbs got in on the 3-name thing.
I think I should totally start reading the names.
This is a question for both you and Sarah.
Your public school education is showing up. Go ahead.
If you could travel to any country in the world, like all 22 countries, where would you go and why? I obviously would pick Australia because I already speak their language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there would be no language barrier for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, where would you go?
That's a really tough question. I haven't been a whole bunch of places.
And our Smilers need to know she loves to travel. So
I love to travel. I mean, not vacation, but just like an experience type trip.
Cut and shoot.
I honestly want to do a trip with one of the well drilling nonprofits or the feed the hungry type, food for the hungry type. I've always wanted to go on a trip like that and just experience, just kind of get my mind right on. I just think we're so entitled and overly blessed here in the United States, and so I would like to travel to a, third world type country where they know what it means to be really dependent and on God in like a physical way even. So I'd like to do that and take my kids. I want them to experience that
So
too.
I'm going to give 3 shout outs of companies that I've worked with and I totally believe in, and I've seen what they're doing. One is Compassion International. I think everybody knows about Compassion. Phenomenal people. We could probably go on a trip if we wanted to get that together and go see them. Also, New Missions has an orphanage in Haiti, and they're great people, and the stuff they're doing over in Haiti is phenomenal. And then this is what made me think about it, but it's called Love Water, and I think there may be another company out there, but this company, it's a guy named Jake out of California, and he used to have Thorn Clothing, and he now builds wells.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and it's so cheap to buy a well for an entire village. And so, like the first Christmas, actually, I think the first 2 or 3 Christmases that I was a single dad, that's what me and the boys did for Christmas. We bought wells for these villages, and he's always going over there. If our Smilers want information on him and want to follow him and his organization, it's called Love Water, but we'll send you the actual links and stuff. Just email us at hooklineandsmiley@gmail.com. But we could go over there with him. I agree. I think when they say where would you want to go, I always think about who do I want to see. And I know I'm spoiled because I've been to all 54 states, and I've been out of the country, and I've traveled. I've seen so much stuff. So when people say where do I want to travel, I think who do I want to what people do I want to see?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see people that, and this is gonna maybe sound bad, but I want to see people that are sitting in mud and they don't know where their next food's coming from, and they're praising Jesus. Like I want to go and see those people. And I want to go and feed the hungry and help you. So yeah, I'm definitely on board with you for that. Can we do that? I know everybody goes to Haiti, but what about like Grand Turks or Turks and Caicos?
I'll look into it.
Okay, all right, cool. What else? Oh, here's a good one. Dave Ebert, where do you think the church has thrived in 2020, and where do you think the church has faltered?
Oh, I don't think I even have a comment.
I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
say this. I think I've seen churches do a good job of getting families plugged in and, keeping in contact with youth and, jumping on Zoom and jumping on Facebook Live. And I'm going to contradict myself, but I know I'm doing it. I think they've done a great job getting families plugged in. I think they've faltered in letting families drift away. I think they jumped in with all this technology and all this kind of stuff, but now they have all that up and running, and I don't think they're reaching out to people that were coming and now just are drifting off, and they're just they're waking up on Sunday mornings and like, yeah, we can watch any Sunday church. We're not connected to an actual church body, and I think that is very dangerous. And if you're doing this, and we're guilty of this, we've done this before, where we've woke up and been like, are we going to church? And you're like, no, we can just watch it on Zoom. And then sometimes we've been like, or we could get up and read, a couple of scriptures and get on with our day. I think people have unplugged from the actual church building, and I think that's dangerous. And I think it's up to the church people to reach out of the fray and the fringe of the church body and make sure that those people are not just drifting away out into the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can I present a counterpoint?
Yes, ma'am. I knew you would.
I feel like that the only people that have missed churches gathering are church people. And I feel like it kind of has highlighted just a country club atmosphere that I know a lot of unbelievers or people that have fallen out of touch with the church and not felt welcome there. This is kind of why. Like, I just think that it has turned, well, prior to COVID, I turned a little more social and about being with your friends instead of about like the true mission of that God has called us to, and going into the world and preaching the gospel. So I think that COVID has kind of forced us to, as believers, to be more missional in our neighborhood with our kids, who they're hanging out with or going to school with or Zoom calling with, or just being more aware of needs in the neighborhood. I know that through several just neighborhood apps, we've kind of stayed in touch with what's going on. Not as much now, but back when we were really locked down. And I think people are still struggling. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I have felt forgotten. I have felt disconnected. We have missed a lot of Sundays, and I haven't gotten one phone call or email about that. So I don't know if people that go to our church are listening. So I don't mean to like throw stones or whatever, but it's just a tough position for churches too. Like, I think pastors have really struggled. I know I've read just some articles and different studies that depression and anxiety among pastors and leadership is at an all-time high. I think a lot of that has to do with money and finances, maybe. People aren't going to church, and so they're not tithing, and so the money isn't coming in that makes the church support, the church work. I think our church is very transparent about that. They run a very minimal staff. They have very minimal salaries. We don't have this big production type church that has a lot of bells and whistles that require money to work. So I think in a way we were kind of set up. I love that churches have figured out how to be virtual. Churches that were not technologically up to date are all of a sudden, they have cameras that work for Facebook Live, and they have Instagram pages, and they're like emailing prayer requests. And so I think it's been a good thing for those churches to kind of come into the 20th century, be forced to do that. In 21st century, what are we in? 21st century.
Who's public school now?
I can't
You
remember.
want to make fun of me, homeschool girl?
It's late night. But anyway, I have mixed feelings. So I think there's definitely room for improvement on keeping people connected. I think it also falls on our shoulders to initiate and stay connected. But I think I think churches are having to be creative now to get people back in. I hear comedians do a really good job of like wooing people back into churches. So bobsmiley.com. But I really think they are having to be what?
That is a great idea. I didn't even think about that, but having a comedy show at your church would be a great way to get people back into your church.
Yep. Yeah. Great idea. I know a guy. He usually wears plaid, but I'm sure we can get him.
Sarah Bertner said, would you consider naming your next tour Catching Up with Bob?
Catching Up with Bob. That's cute.
It's cute. It's funny. I actually may do it, but it also reminded me of my groom's cake was a ketchup bottle. Like, again, for like new fans. And so I read that question earlier today, and I got kind of emotional because I started thinking about our wedding, because we, just celebrated 2 years, and I started thinking about like how much you went out of your way to make me feel a part of the wedding. And I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, but this other wedding that I was a part of, that I was a groom, I was not considered at all. In fact, I've got a photo of me, the wedding coordinator. The wedding was for two people, the bride and her mom. And I was not considered. Like, I literally was just a place setting, basically. And I have a photo of me, because they put me in a room that didn't have chairs while they did photos all over the church. And so I was in there for like an hour and a half, and I didn't have any chairs. So I have a photo that my mom took of me sitting on a table, because that's all that was in there. And I was in there for an hour and a half, and I didn't have cell phone or anything. So I'm just sitting there, and I finally had my mom or my dad, I think, bring me a book, and I just sat and read a book. And so to go from that contrast of like, I wanted to publicly just thank you for, really going out of your way to make me a part of you know, even letting me pay for the whole wedding, you know, I thought was super sweet.
That's not true. That is so not true.
No,
Don't throw
I just,
stones.
what?
Don't throw stones. That's not true.
No, I'm sorry. I just thought of that joke and I thought I'd throw it out there. But no, honestly, it was so sweet because every decision you would come to me and say, what do you think? And you actually meant it. Like you wanted my input on it. I felt like we were actually getting married together. It was super sweet. Okay, so Amanda Paul says, what was the most influential part of maintaining your Christian faith from adolescence into adulthood? I'm going to speed this up because we're running out of time, but for me, it was reading the Bible.
You should have skipped the deep ones.
No, it was, for me, maintaining my faith has always been about reading the Bible. We talked about this at dinner tonight because we were talking about how we changed over the year. Last year, there was so much going on. I just let Bible reading slip by. And I may have told this before, but I remember when I was in the living room, Coulter was maybe 4 or 5, and I saw this commercial, and it was like, showed all the lifespan from a baby to like a 75-year-old man. And then it just said, are you going to tell God that, you know, whatever year, I think it was 75 years, you're going to tell God 75 years wasn't long enough to read his book.
Goodness.
And I don't know why that commercial was on network television. I don't know who paid for it, but it was quiet. So Coulter and I were playing in the living room, and I looked
Your mom.
up, and it was what?
Your mom and dad were like, Bob needs to see this.
Yeah. They were doing a feed from the other room.
Yeah.
But no, it showed a baby and then a toddler and then elementary and then junior high. And so it got your attention because it was silent, like in the middle of Friends or some show. And so I looked up at the TV because we were wrestling on the floor, and I watched this go all the way to like 75. And he said, and the thing is, I'd read the Bible a lot. I'd read a lot of it. I'd never read all of it. And so at that moment, when I was 28, I was like, I'm going to start reading the Bible every year. And I haven't done it, but I've read it through probably about 6 times now, and read a lot of it. And so that's been, anytime I've had doubts or anytime I've had a lot of, you know, angst or problems, I go to the Word, and that's been the thing for me. My lady.
You're so good. You're such a good person. You're a good Christian.
What? That's true, though. That's absolutely true.
I've read the Bible 6 times. I haven't even read it once all the way through. I
got you, babe. I got you.
I'm not consistent with my Bible reading on a daily basis.
When we get up there, I got you. You stand in line with me.
Okay, thanks. You're going to be there way before me, so just put in a good word. The most influential part of maintaining my Christian faith from adolescence to adulthood, I would say probably my parents' faith walk. Like they've just been through so much, ups and downs, so many things that were out of their control, just loss and grief and financial decisions, just everything. And I've always seen them, not that they've never questioned or struggled with their faith, but they always just come back to that foundation of God loving them. And I've seen that in their marriage. I've seen that constantly. So I think that's probably been the most influential thing about maintaining my own faith. I've always been loved completely unconditionally by them, but they were never afraid to tell me when I was messing up or point me back in the right direction, even as an adult. And so, yeah, that's what I would say.
Nice. Okay, just a couple more. Zachary Barsness, what's the funniest thing that your kids have done that you had to keep a straight face for?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
Goodness, our kids are stinkers, all of them.
I had to go to Coulter when he was in kindergarten. I had to go to his classroom, and his teacher said he could not have beef jerky anymore. And I was like, why? And I'd gone in the green room like the weekend before. I'd gotten these really long beef jerky sticks because I love beef jerky. And so people would ask, what do you want in the green room? I'd say beef jerky, and they'd bring beef jerky. Huge blessing, love beef jerky. These were long sticks. And I was like, why not? It's a healthy snack. It's like, and she goes, he is taunting the other students by waving it in their face. And so he was sitting in his chair, and he would just wave it over in front of, like, Cassie's face. And it was long enough, and it would just be right by her nose. And if she swatted it, he would move it back. And so he was literally like taunting.
And how old was he?
This was last year in college.
I was gonna say.
No, this was in kindergarten. This was in kindergarten.
So that's like a parenting problem.
So
Why would you?
What?
What is a 5-year-old boy gonna do with a 3-foot jerky stick?
He's gonna taunt his fellow students, like you do. But I was sitting there and I was dying laughing. That's another thing. Trent got called to the office, and I think it was in like 2nd or 3rd grade. And the principal actually, like, she had to get on to him because he punched another kid, but this other kid was picking on this other kid. And so Trent just walked up and just popped him. And so all the parents and, like, the principal's there and everybody, and she tells what's happening. And I don't know why, but I wanted to laugh so hard because I can just picture Trent, out at recess, probably over trapping a raccoon or something. And then he looks up and he sees this kid getting picked on. He just walks over, no words, just walks up, pow, right in the face. Then just walks back over and keeps skinning, the raccoon or whatever he was doing at the time. But I just thought, I don't know, that made me laugh. And I was in the principal's office, which is when I want to laugh, like, it's kind of that uncontrollable, uncomfortable laughing. You got a story or?
I don't know if I do. Like, it's kind of like caught me off guard. The only thing I can think is I have so many opportunities, especially with my oldest, to be serious when, be funny when I should be serious. But most recently, I got a text from one of his teachers. He's doing online school. And so the thing I love about online school is that all the teachers have my phone number, and they text me for anything, good, bad, ugly, whatever, mostly bad and ugly. But
yeah, we don't know about good yet, but we think that they could text us if something good.
I've actually gotten some compliments from him being on top of his stuff. But anyway, so she texted me last week and said, hey, just FYI, like, have a little chat with Dylan and remind him that the online whiteboard is not for, like, graffiti and any kind of political rant or, just inappropriate stuff. And so I know you will, and it's not a problem, but, just have a little chat with him. I'm like, okay, cool. So I get home. I'm like, Dylan, I need to talk to you. What happened? He's like, well, I wrote Trump on the whiteboard. He's like, I erased it right away. But I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't laugh, but I really wanted to be like, so I said, well, next time just write vote, or next time don't write anything at all,
Yeah. Learn how to be a fence straddler.
Yeah, you can be, you gotta be PC if you're gonna put it out there. So just lean towards the liberal side if you're gonna put it in writing, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more. This one came from a name. This came from my Instagram account, and it didn't have a name. It had all these little symbols and stuff, kind of like almost Japanese or Chinese writing.
Okay.
But it is a serious question. How do you get through divorce? This person said, my wife is divorcing me, or it has divorced me, and I'm really struggling with how to handle it.
Oh, why didn't we skip this one?
Well, we can, but this is something we've both been through, and we kind of started the podcast to encourage people. I can say what I tell everybody, and we can just leave it at that. And I messaged this person back, and I said, the same thing Hawkins said, don't go through it alone, because Satan loves isolation. That was a big key for me was, I would get the kids to school and I would isolate and just slip into this dark depression and, not dealing with stuff. Like, I didn't realize, like, obviously because of what I went through, I had so much trust issues and anger and all that. And, I was stuffing it down. You didn't know that because by the time you met me, I was an open book and didn't hide any of my emotions. But you okay there, girl?
Yeah, I'm okay.
But, and the other thing I said is it does get better. It doesn't seem like it's going to It may be 5 years. It may be 5 months. Like, people deal with it different, but it will get better eventually. And so you got to keep focused on that. You can't just let anger consume you, and and not
Yeah,
go through
I would say the quicker that you can get in to talk to a professional, the better. I highly recommend that. Someone that has letters after their name, not necessarily just a friend at church, but someone that actually is trained in working through things. I would piggyback on, like, don't isolate yourself, but at the same time, you all of a sudden feel out of the circle of all of your previous circles. So finding someone to talk to that you trust, that's also going to hold you accountable. Just pray for that person to come along if you don't have that, and be vulnerable with people and see, how they respond, and kind of go from there. I would also say, like, don't focus on the other person. Don't focus on the other person,
Ooh, that's
because
good.
it will eat you alive, thinking about how they did you wrong and what they could have done better, and you're the victim and blah blah blah. I mean, yes, there's a time for that, there's a season for that, and we still vacillate, you and I still vacillate into moments of, sadness or stress or whatever, over some of the just repercussions of divorce and the brokenness there that it brings. And so you can have those moments, just don't stay there. And I would say, let it make you, I know this sounds really hokey, and, like, I don't mean this in a worldly way, but allow God to let it make you a better person. um Usually there are some things, interpersonally, if you've been married before, you know that you're not perfect, and your spouse is
What?
quick to point that out. And so I would say, like, let the fire, let the heat, let the struggle uh perfect you. Let it become more Christ-like on the other side of it. Look for people to love on, look for people to help. You're not the only person that the world has imploded. You're not the only person to hurt. There are hurting, broken people all around you that don't necessarily have all the answers. And I've figured out, like, loving on other people and helping other people, whether it's a meal or babysitting or a cup of coffee or even just a phone call or a text, kind of pulled me out of my moment of, oh, poor pitiful me. So those are just some of the things.
That's really great, babe. That's really great. Okay, two more really quick, and this is a follow-up question about the divorce. Caden Goebel says, "What is your go-to wake-up song?"
We have several. I would say we always sing "This Is the Day the Lord Has Made" on the way to school.
Mm-hmm.
We love Mandisa's "Good Morning Song" with Toby Mac. Mason's really into who's the song that he's singing right now, that he plays in the morning, that annoys us now. Never want to give you up.
Never gonna let you down. Never gonna something
Like,
hurt
we're
me.
really annoyed, but at the same time, like, you can't be in a bad mood when it's coming on. So
Phil Joel has a two kids album that I think is the best kids album, but really good, just rock and roll songs, called Boom Chakalaka Rockin' Good Time. And then the second one I think is same. I think it's the same name, Volume 2. But he has a good morning song, and it is. I used to play that every single morning when I would get, because at one point all my three kids, single dad, I would get them all up for one breakfast because I just couldn't do the progressive thing. So we would all get up and have breakfast, and we would start with that song. I also like my ringtone that goes off on my phone is "Running Down a Dream" by Tom Petty. I say that very, very distinctly because my wife for years thought it was "Running Down a Drain."
running down the drain.
Running down the drain.
Running down the drain.
Working
I
on a
still think it
mystery.
does it. You slowed it down, and I'm like, see, drain.
Yeah. And I love that the next line is "working on a mystery," because you're like, well, see, there's a mystery down in the drain. Like, every line that I would tell you,
What ran down the drain?
Yeah. So, by Tom Petty. And last question by Dan Fecker is
Is that a man or a woman?
Dan Fecker.
Yeah.
It's definitely a woman.
Okay.
Dan says, she writes, is Sarah allowed to say everything? No, she's not, which is why I had to learn to edit the podcast. But now that we're doing video, she has gotten a lot better. A tip of the hat to you, my lady, for being somewhat of a lady on this, our second video.
I'm a lady. I just call it like I see it. I'm a little too authentic sometimes.
Yeah. You're a little princess. You're a little mechanic.
Little princess, a little, I don't know. You know what it reminds me of? Like the guys that lean over the fence, like kind of towards the outfield at the Little League games. Mm-hmm. Like they're the hardcore fans, you know, they're the dads or whatever, but they need to be able to yell and say everything. Like they're loving parents. So they're super involved. They're there, but they need to be able to say whatever they need to say without the little hoity-toity moms and dads getting their panties in a wad in the stands. That's kind of what I am. I'm like one of those hang out the end of the fence guys. I'm passionate. The good news is that if you meet me in person, no matter what the venue, that's who I am. So there is no like facade. The bad news is you got to edit some stuff. So
yeah. Sometimes you got to take out phrases like panties in a wad. So you want to do reviews? We're running really long.
I would love to. Okay, we've got a few really great reviews that came in this week. I cannot read this. I think they wrote their name backwards. I think it's Sean Knights or Neats, but it's Zeton Noaz is what the is what the username says. The review is called Lots of Surprises. And Neats and Zwats says, I've been listening since episode 1 and have found the show to be fun and encouraging to listen to. Bob and Sarah work so well together and show us what grace is all about as they relate to one another in ways that would be awkward to most. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
That's good.
The interview with Shonda Pierce was the best podcast episode I've ever listened to. I'm going to take offense to that.
That is a little, yeah.
And I have listened to thousands over the years. Again, driving that wedge. The discussion between Bob and Shonda was extremely inspiring as they showed how the Lord led blah, 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 flowed together, scripted emotion and what they were sharing. Whatever. Thank you for your show and keep up the great work. That's going to be an honorable mention review. Don't email us. We're not sending you anything.
That was
the other review. No. They can't even write their name the correct way. Thank you for the review, though. We appreciate the 5 stars. The other one is Cool Dude and a lot of numbers. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. They don't make sense. I'm not really sure. And they spelled dude, D-U-E-D.
I can tell you why, because I actually pulled up this one because it was such a long review. I was like, oh, I don't know if it's going to show up on your, like how you read.
Oh no, I get all the words, like the content. It'll just cut the title off sometimes.
Oh, okay. All right. So go ahead and read it. I've actually read this one. Normally I don't read them, but I've read this one.
Okay. This says, yo, yo, yo. I love you guys so much. I have helped me through so much.
Yeah. I mean me.
Yeah. Can't wait every week to hear your podcast. I am 12. There
you go. We have been talking about, we have 12-year-olds listening.
Here's our first 12-year-old review. I started listening from episode 1. Love you guys. I want you to read on the podcast. # take after Bob equals self-promoter. Also got a question for Bob. When will you be touring? I'd love, love, love to see you. I love all your comedy. I would love to see you live. All right, read this on the pod and give me that answer. Love you guys. It's definitely written like a 12-year-old. I love it.
So great. It's my demographic. So first of all, cool dude, way too long of numbers to read. Are you reading my Average Boy devotional, comedy / devotional books? Second of all, are you listening to the Average Boy podcast? All that stuff you would love. Second of all, I am starting to book a couple of shows, and by a couple, I do mean 2 for next year. So form an orderly queue, everybody. It's going to be an awesome.
Calendars wide open would be a grave understatement.
Yeah. So, but there are some shows trickling in. The problem is they're not attached to any dollar figure. So I'm trying my best. I'm trying to get out there. I'm trying to do shows, but it is very slow. So,
but where can he go to check the dates?
you know what? Since Randy Nation in here to say, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, bobsmiley.com.
And what else can our fans who have so patiently that got the teaser at the beginning and listened to our entire podcast, what else can they find at bobsmiley.com starting?
They can find info on how to buy tickets to our holiday Christmas Zoom podcast party.
Off the Hook Christmas Party.
Yeah, we're going to call it Off the Hook Christmas Party. And we will have tickets because we do need to limit it to a certain number of people
but you will actually get to do an online, we didn't say that at the beginning, it's going to be a Zoom show / party, and you will get to purchase a ticket the day before the show. Day of the show, we'll email you a link to be invited in, and you will actually get to interact with us live, ask us questions, visit with us, and give us your best holiday cookie recipe, I guess.
Yeah. And we'll be taking questions leading up to it. So if you guys have questions like, hey, is it okay to ask this? Is it okay? Because we are going to air it. And so if you want to be, we're going to air it. If I can air some of the podcasts you've done, I can edit it. So
I was just thinking, yeah, we'll see.
We'll do. But anyway, so you guys can go to my website, and we have tickets available starting today on Thursday. So
go to bobsmiley.com, go to the store, and there you will find a link to Off the Hook Christmas Party by invitation only.
Yeah, and just to make sure that the store is working, go ahead and order a COVID shirt or a DVD or, a comedy / devotion book for middle school kids, just to make sure it's working, and then order your tickets, and we will be able to talk to you guys December 1st. That's it for episode 45. It is in the books. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you're watching online, actually seeing our beautiful faces, thanks for, rolling with us. And that's it. I hope your week is full of woo moments.
And not poo moments.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. One of us.
I gotta go chart